Hi, and welcome to the We've Got a Problem podcast, where each week we explore inspiring stories of struggle, success, and solutions to prevalent problems, and how our guests have turned a problem into an opportunity. Today I'm joined by Louisa Valentin. She's an empowerment wellness coach who coaches professional women to find their strength to achieve their optimal state of mental, physical, and spiritual health. In addition to her work as a coach, she's also a BSN Registered Nurse, a co-founder of a nonprofit, and also a fitness enthusiast. Louisa, that's a lot. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me here today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to know everything about you, but we probably don't have time to talk about all of that. How did you go from being an RN to being a women's empowerment coach?
Actually, I'm still a registered nurse. I love what I do, and this is just another aspect of it where I can go ahead and help people, help the community. But the reason I got into coaching is because I was my first client. I was that person who was unhappy and putting everyone else's needs above my own.
Yep.
And people didn't believe that I could do it, that I could make the changes within myself, because I was so busy taking care of everyone else that most people probably didn't want me to put myself first. They didn't want me to put up those boundaries that allowed me to do what was necessary for me.
Well, nobody wants that to happen. Nobody wants it to happen anytime
Right?
you put up boundaries, especially if you haven't had boundaries before. That nobody wants that because they're not used to it. That strikes a lot of people, as we'll get into that later, I'm sure, but that strikes a lot of people as a little bit off-putting, because suddenly they're like, wait a minute, you won't just roll over, you won't just do everything. You're starting to prioritize yourself ahead of my needs. What is this? What is this craziness? How dare you do that? I'm sure that was the response. Go on. I'm sorry I interrupted you, please.
You're absolutely correct, because they no longer have full access. So
Yep.
It's like, whoa, exactly like you said, how could you? But some of the people in my life, once they started seeing that I actually was making changes, that I was able to do these things where my fitness changed, but it was more than that. It was something within me that changed, and they could see that. And they started asking for help. They started asking, what can I do? Can I go with you? What's changed in your mind? So then I started helping out friends and family, and that led to other people kind of reaching out, and I sort of, quote unquote, fell into it, where it was like, well, maybe I can do this.
For sure. For sure. I mean, part of the thing that of a lot of people finding a new passion, finding something that engages them, is that kind of falling into it, like coming at it from a perspective of, I don't know what I want. And suddenly discovering something that you go, well, that's cool. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that's something else I can do. I can add it on. Maybe I can find this passion. I'm doing it. Now people are asking for it. See a need, fill a need. Now I've got this new thing to do. So part of the question for me then becomes, what is the problem, right? The name of the show is We've Got a Problem. What's the problem? How do professional women struggle to find their best mental, physical, and spiritual states of health? Why is this such a problem? How do they struggle? What's the issue?
The problem is women in particular are so busy prioritizing everyone else that they're too tired to take care of their own needs. They're too busy taking care of the kids, the job, the husband, the partner, the family, that when is it time for us to take care of us? And that shows itself in the fact that obesity is continuing to be on the rise, and our health is rapidly declining, especially here in the US.
Yep.
I live in New York City, and you see it every day. And it's because we're tired, and we don't realize that we deserve to put ourselves first, because there's so much value in what can you do for everyone else, that that becomes how you value yourself instead of who you are as a person.
Yes, for sure. And I think there's a lot of benefit in looking at what they tell you to do on an airplane, right? Which is put your mask on before helping somebody else put their mask on. That is so important to remember because it is a natural thing for any parent, especially a mother, but for any parent to turn to their children and make sure their children are all right before they make sure that they themselves are okay. Forgetting, of course, that they are no good to their children if they're dead. And I mean, literally, figuratively, doesn't matter. If you're not in an optimal state yourself, you're no good to anybody else. That's, I think, the mindset shift that people need to get into. So yes. So then the question for me becomes, what is optimal? And of course, it, I'm sure, varies for everybody, but what are the things? What does it look like to be in an optimal state of mental, physical, spiritual state of health?
That's where at least 80% of your day, your time is filled with joy. Because when we're unhappy, how can we really push ourselves to do all of the things that will make us healthier? It's creating those habits of where I'm going to do these things because they are good for me, not only because they feel good, such as, yes, going out, having a beer, having a piece of cake may feel good in the moment, but how does your body really feel when that's the majority of what you're having?
Yes.
Everything in moderation. You don't have to change your whole life, especially at once. That's one of the biggest things that so many people think they have to go from 0 to 100.
But I want it all now.
Not sustainable.
I want it all now. I mean,
yes, you do.
And of course, once you've decided to make the change, you're sitting there going, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do everything all at once. I'm going to change where I live. I'm going to change my job. I'm going to change my family. I'm going to change everything. Screw these kids. I'm going to get some new ones. And the part of the problem becomes, yes,
I love it.
You can't do everything at once. Yes. I'm sorry. I just, what does that mean? What does it look like? What else does it stand for?
It's sustainability. It's what you can obtain where you can continue to feel your healthiest. And like you said earlier, it is going to be different for everybody. Not everybody wants a six-pack, and having a six-pack does not equate health.
Correct.
Health is having your insides be good, where your cholesterol is not skyrocketing past 300, where your vital signs like your blood pressure is not 140 over 90, and your heart is racing all day, because not that you're moving and you're exerting yourself, but that's just where you kind of live, and it just has to work harder because you are not at your optimum health.
Yeah. And that, I think people, obviously, as we've discussed, people neglect these things until it becomes a big problem. Until usually people don't get serious about, say, losing weight or eating a healthier diet until they've had their first heart attack. And trust me, you say you can't lose weight? Just wait till after your first heart attack. I'll bet you can. Just let me show you. I'll show you what's possible. But until it becomes real, we just let these things slip because it happens over time. It's been so slow. It's been our natural state for so long. We've acclimated to it. We don't realize that we're living this unhealthy life. But like you say, obesity is going up, or we're using coping mechanisms or seeing joy in times that are not actually net positive for what we do. Having alcohol is a bit like stealing from tomorrow to feel better today, right now. Because tomorrow, you're going to be hungover. You're going to be dealing with all sorts of different things. And it's not, you might not feel as good. You might not get as good a night's sleep. You might not have those moments. And now you've actually, for short-term gain, given up your long-term viability for happiness and health and well-being. Yes. So now I want to talk a little bit about your coaching process, because like we said, each person is different. Everybody could use a guide, and specifically the people that you work with, professional women who are struggling with these things most poignantly, most constantly. What is your coaching process like? How do you start? What's the process for digging into these kinds of things and identifying the most important priority right now for each of your clients?
We always start with a goal, and usually it's something very superficial. I want to look good in a bikini, or I just want to make it to this high school reunion. But then we dig a little further, and we get to the root of the issue, which oftentimes is confidence. And their confidence is down because of the mindset that they have. And social media is so big on showing people what they need to look like. Again, like I said, the six pack does not equate health, but a lot of people, that's what they're seeing and that's what they're trying to obtain. So they only think of that very superficial level instead of where their heart needs to be, where the turmoil comes from, that one triggers them to maybe overeat or under exercise, and also to try to obtain these unrealistic goals, and then they get discouraged because it is not easy to get a six pack. It is not easy to lose all of the weight that you gained, like you said, over a course of time. It's not going to happen overnight. And the women that I work with, we start with also knowing this and creating accountability, and that they are agreeing, they are ready for a change. And we make sure that the reason for their change, when we dig in, is bigger than whatever it is, the bad habit that they are doing.
Yes.
Because if it's just superficial, once you lose that instant motivation, you're right back to the bad habits.
Yes. And that part of that is, we talked a little bit about social media. You mentioned it. I've mentioned it on probably 35 episodes in the last year and a half. The fact that on social media, we are comparing our insides to somebody's curated version of their outsides. And that's not really healthy, because you don't know what's going on inside that person's mind, their body, what they've gone through to get where they are. What they're showing you is their best version that they can come up with. And you're not seeing what they look like when they woke up in the morning or how they feel most of the day. Men or women, doesn't matter. That six pack, that person with a six pack probably doesn't have it most of the time. That's the unrealistic image that we're seeing. You're seeing the one from the one day a year when they had it, when they were able to really show it because they were dehydrated, because they have low body fat, because of whatever it is. And yet we think that that's attainable because we're bombarded by these images. And that's, first of all, having healthy goals and all those kinds of things matters. But when all your goal is, well, I want that thing that's superficial, and it's not motivated by, like you say, that deeper urge for confidence. Like, I just want to feel good when I go into a room. I talked to a guest not that long ago. I say not that long ago. It was probably a year ago. Clarissa Burt, who said, look, there's a way to come at this to really kind of master yourself, and looking good and feeling good matter. But that's not about physical appearance features. That's not about exactly how you look compared to some unreasonable standard. It's how you feel when you walk in there. The way that you comport yourself is about your confidence. The things that matter to you, you've got low confidence. That's what's really at the root of the problem here. And that's what we need to address. You talk a little bit about changing the perspective, that we need to change our own perspective as well as the perspective of others. What do you mean by that? Talk to me a little bit more about that, and why does it matter?
So that's where we go into these boundaries, because like I was saying earlier, people didn't think I could do it. And it's probably more they didn't want me to do it because then I would not be available to them. So when you're able to change that perspective of who you are internally, that you are strong enough to have a voice, to put yourself first so that you can do what is necessary for your own happiness, for your own elevation, everybody else is going to change how they see you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we do need that. Yes, it is not about the external validation, but it's a nice bonus. But we have to believe it first. We have to be able to change that opinion of ourselves before we can get anybody else to change theirs.
Yes. And that's hard. I mean, let's just say that right now. That's difficult to change our perception of ourselves, how we come at this, the perspective that we have, how we take one step back maybe and evaluate ourselves if we talked to other people the way that we talk to ourselves most of the time, we'd be dead. Somebody would stick a knife in us like 5 minutes honestly, you can't talk to people the way that we talk to ourselves. It just would not work out well. And yet here we are. The dialogue we have with ourselves, changing our perspective, understanding that we need something, that there are things that are important to us, and having, like you say, firmer, less porous boundaries matters. That matters. And yes, it will change who you are, and it will change how people see you. I wonder what the lifestyle changes are that help bring about this shift, because it's a mindset shift for sure. But there are other things that you've got to do in your physical environment, in your lifestyle that help change that perception, both internally and externally. What are some tips and tricks for doing that for your clients? What's your biggest advice?
Small changes, whether this is with boundaries or just setting yourself up for success by having your workout clothes ready, having snacks available for you, bringing things to work if you work outside of the home, just having things in place. And again, not trying to do everything at once. When I first started going to the gym, it wasn't, okay, I'm going to the gym 5 to 7 days a week. It was, okay, I'm just going to make it to the gym. I'm just going to make it to having a walk. 10 minutes. I gave myself that 10 minutes. And then during that 10 minutes, I was like, oh, wow, I feel good. I can keep going. So then I would keep going. But there were times that I went and after 10 minutes, I felt like crap. I still didn't want to be there. So I left. I gave myself that permission to leave with no guilt. It is not about making yourself feel guilty. And that's why I like small changes. Even with the boundaries, it's like a muscle. You don't have to go from I'm doing everything everybody asked me to do to I'm not doing anything anybody asked me to do. A small boundary, see how it feels. Usually you feel really good when somebody is able to respect your boundary. But if you just try to put it all out there, because we don't have that muscle developed yet with our boundaries, we usually will fall back on it and let them get through. The same thing with creating these habits. If we try to do everything, we might be able to do it at first. Okay, we went to the gym. First 5 days in a row for an hour. Now this next week, we are so sore that we don't want to go to the gym for 8 months.
Right.
And I even just put up a post the other day, a joke post, but it's kind of serious. It was like, oh, I missed going to the gym today. I'm so disappointed. It's been 7 years in a row. And because that's what happened.
It is. It is. And part of it is there's a little bit of a benefit in doing the Jerry Seinfeld thing of don't break the chain. Right. Where it's like Jerry Seinfeld has written a joke every day for the last 45 years. Every single day. Good jokes, bad jokes, doesn't matter. There's no judgment placed on it. But he wrote a joke. Good days, bad days at the gym, that you went. If that's your goal, if that's the priority, don't break the chain. Don't let yourself slip more than 1 or 2 days in a row. And after that, it's like, I got to be, because I can't break the chain on the calendar. I can't give this up. So, I mean, there's a way to come at boundaries. And of course, I'm sure you work with clients for how to set those things gently, little by little, and to ease people into it. Because like we've said, people's reactions can occasionally be negative. When you've previously been more in a pleasing mentality, that you've put yourself second. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And you're a yes person. We all want to be that enthusiastic person. We all want to be the one who says, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's do that. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not totally comfortable with it, but saying no or putting up a wall there, that's hard. And it takes practice, a lot of practice, because of course the tendency, at least for me, when I've worked on setting better boundaries for myself, has been to a little bit correct, to go just a little bit too far. And instead of saying no, go, absolutely not. I'm not interested in that at all. And people go, whoa, absolutely not. I think no would have been good enough. Yes, perhaps it would have, but, again, let's be gentle. Let's be gentle. Okay, so who is your ideal client? Who do you see as being able to benefit most from your kind of services?
So the busy woman who doesn't really prioritize her own health. Her health is declining. Her waistline may be growing past where she is comfortable. She's going for her doctor's visits and she's not liking the results that she's seeing. She has that high cholesterol. She's developing the diseases like hypertension and diabetes and doesn't want to go down the line of medication or having to increase her medication. And she usually has a family also that she wants to be a good example for, that she wants to teach the healthy habits, but she doesn't know how. So she reaches out and I'm there to be her biggest cheerleader, because that's something that's so big, empowerment and speaking life and light into the people that I work with so that they realize they're not in it alone. But so many of them feel alone in this superficial social media world.
Yes. We're kind of coming to the end here. I have a couple of questions that I ask everybody. And these can be very specific to your individual area or broad for the entire world, just things that you've thought about. But what do you think the biggest fallacy is that everybody buys into? What is way overrated?
That getting healthy has to be hard, that it cannot be enjoyable. The food is not fun. It doesn't taste good. The workouts are just hard and you can't enjoy those either. I say, again, with the small changes, we're not doing everything at once, but the way you season your food, you can make it taste delicious. You can find workouts that work for you. I like running. There's a lot of people who do not like running. They should not run. Right. They should find a workout that works for them.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the fallacy persists because, just like quitting smoking, there's a whole industry that is set up on trying to convince you that it's difficult and has bombarded you with information to say it's difficult. And that's why you need Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or any of these other things, and why you may need to take some drug and why you may need to do all these things. And you go, actually, it is not complicated. It is not hard. It is difficult to stick with at times when you're tempted by all the things we have around us. And because it's become a habit, but it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be. There are ways to make this work. And obviously other people have figured it out. So what we need to figure out is what works for you. So on the other side of that, what do you feel like the most
Yes.
underrated concept is? What do people overlook? What are we missing? What do we need more of?
Happiness is an inside job. We look for, again, that external validation or the people that we're with. And even if you have wonderful people in your life, you have a great partner, great kids, if you depend on them for your happiness, that means you're giving your power away. You are saying, my happiness is in your hands. I am not responsible for anything. So here you go. Make me happy or make me sad. No, it needs to be an inside job for that true happiness, for that fulfillment where even if everything doesn't go right, you're not ready to jump off of a bridge because so and so didn't go well today. You didn't get that job, or you gained a pound versus losing a pound despite how much you were working out. And just knowing that it's within,
Yeah.
and then everything else is a bonus.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic advice. Folks, if you want to know more about Louisa and her one-on-one coaching program, check out her website, louisavalentin.coach, where she's offering a free discovery call to listeners, and follow her on social media. Links to everything are in the description as always. And until next time, I'm Andrew Wallace, and we don't have a problem. We've got an opportunity. Thank you.